All right, the final video for this series until we make more, or I make more commands here. So building nested resources one level at a time. And I've said this before, but hopefully this will bring this concept home. And what we'll do is, in the prior video, we actually made an app, and we did this part, test kitchen recipe. What I want to do in this one is similar to kind of what I've talked about throughout the series. I want to have a recipe. I want the public to be able to see all the recipes and a particular recipe. But I want Test Kitchen to be an area where only certain users can do all CRUD resources on a recipe. And then I want to be able to have cooking steps for a recipe. So a recipe has several different cooking steps, and each cooking step I may want to put particular tips on. But I only want the people in Test Kitchen to be able to do RESTful actions on the cooking steps, the tips, and of course the recipes. So we're going to build that, and that's this diagram basically is a shorthand way of saying exactly that. It does leave out the recipe, and then you would have recipe show and recipe index. But our Flask commands to build all that data structure are exactly these. So I'll start a new app, and then we'll build this out, and we'll see in the URLs what's happening as we build. And then one warning, so we will use our prior app. So if I list the apps that we have Cooker. I'm going to come back to that, promised. So I'll hold my promise here. But we'll use this prior app to do an oops, just so that you can see if you try to take a shortcut, things don't work out the way you want them. So, but I'm going to start a new app. So we'll do Flask new my project 2. Run this. All right, so once that's done, we'll cd into my project 2. We will run it, and I'll show you. This is a fresh new app. Nothing's built here except for what comes with the Flask new. So here, if I try to go to recipes, it's a 404 error. And so what I want in the end is I want to be able to go to recipes, see all the recipes. I want to be able to go to recipe 1, see that particular recipe. And then I want to be able to go to Test Kitchen and see all the recipes under Test Kitchen also. But here I'm going to have more control in that I'm going to be able to do things like create a recipe. Okay, so without further ado, we'll come back here. We're in my project 2. Let's go to VS Code just so you can see. We'll line it up. Bump up the font. So under model, the only model we have is user. The only routes are main. The only templates are mains. So let's build out. First, I'm going to build out the recipe model. So, and then I'm going to build out the public-facing side. Now, you could do this all in one. You could say Flask make view recipes.index minus RCM. And that's completely fine. That's a one command but I'm going to follow the docs and do it in these 2 commands just so you can see it. So we'll have Flask make model recipe. Really, I'm doing this for the purpose of the fact that we're in the make model section. So I'm not going to put minus CRUD here. Do not do that if you're following along, because we don't want the public to be able to do all RESTful actions. We're just going to want them to do 2, the index and the show. So we'll just leave this like this, which means only 2 things happened. A file got edited here and a file got created here, and we saw that in the last video. So I will move on, but before I do that, let's go here. We'll go to recipe, just so you can see there is no recipe route. There's no recipes route yet. So now let's come in and we'll do Flask make view recipes.index and wire up the route and the controller for me. I do not need the model. That would give me a warning saying it already exists. So we'll run that and give it a second, and there the 404 error goes away. Excellent. I just have the index page. I do not have the show page. So let's come back and let's do that now. So we'll just change this to show. And bada boom. Give this a second. 404 error went away. Isn't that, to me it's just cool because I know I'm seeing it in the browser. I know behind the scenes in the code, it just is working. And so it's just so cool for me to see it in the browser. Okay, so now I'm done with the public facing side. If I come over here to Test Kitchen and I go to recipes, I have a 404 error. I'm going to build all 7 RESTful actions in one command. I am going to do that with Flask make controller, not make model. I'm doing a namespace. I already have recipes created, so I don't need to make a model. I need to have a particular area, which is really related to routes, where certain users can do certain things. So that's why we go back to make controller, because routes are more like a controller type area. Okay, so, and we're going to end up making a controller too. So we're going to make controller, and it's the test kitchen recipe controller minus CRUD. Now I do need to put the CRUD here because I want all RESTful actions. I do not need to worry anything about a model. So no minus model, no -m, nothing related to a model because I already have recipe created. We saw this all in the last video. So we'll run that and give it a second. Hopefully this 404 will go away. Yep, sure enough it did. And I have all RESTful actions. I don't know why that went away. Okay. And then if I go to create, I have all those. So, and then we have the post ones too. And then let's now come back. So now what I want is I want to see recipe 1's cooking steps. And so in order to build that out, we'll come back here. We will say not make, here, let's just start fresh. We'll do Flask make model. Okay, test kitchen, and then recipe, and then cook step. And no controller, nothing like this. And really, you're probably thinking, well, just make cook step and be done with it. And you can, but then you don't have the nice URL scenario where you have your namespacing. So we'll do this. So what Flask Commands is going to do is it's going to go and say, okay, well, there's a couple scenarios here. Do they want this whole thing, or do they want some nested relationship? And it would prompt you if you left it like this. I'm not going to leave it like this. I don't want to see the prompt, so I will tell it I want a nest. So now that I've told it I want nest, it's going to see recipe as a registered model, and it's going to make everything after that a new model. So it's going to make one model called cook step. So we'll see this in the browser happen, and then we'll go back to VS Code real quick. So let's run that. No prompt. Hopefully this 404 goes away. Yay, it does. I should have all RESTful actions, which means I have a show page, and I have a create page. Good. Everything is working as anticipated in the browser. Let's go back to VS Code because we haven't even looked at VS Code. There's cook step. 2 words, 1 model, and that's in the index page. There's the model right there. If we go into the routes, we see recipe, which should have just the index and the show page, and sure enough it does. We see test kitchen. The routes there should be empty. It's just kind of it's a placeholder namespace. If we go to recipe and we go to the routes there, we have 7 RESTful actions. Test kitchen is all namespace, no test kitchen ID, as we saw in the prior video. And then if we go to cook step and we go to the routes there, then it's carrying along. Test kitchen, namespace, recipe, which is a structured resource, a model. There's the ID, and then cook step, and then there's the ID for that. And I mean, that's a lot of code, and you've seen me not touch a file, just do terminal commands. To me, that's really cool. So we need one last resource for this, and that is to tack on a cook step needs a tip. And here I can just press the up arrow and use what I had before and keep everything exactly the same. And then we will see in VS Code, now cook step has tips, and here's this really long URL. So test kitchen, namespace, recipe, data structure, and there's the ID, cook step, 2 words, data structure, there's the ID, tip, 1 word, data structure, there's the ID. All right, if you go to models, you've got a lot of migration to handle, and there's your tip. There's the 3 models that we created. So yeah, and then if I go back to the browser, I should see, so I'm at test kitchen, recipes 1, cook step 2. Let's look at the tips. Sure enough, no 404 error, and then I could even go to a particular tip. So there you go. If you remove test kitchen from this, you end up with a 404 error because we've never made that route, and we don't want the public to be able to go there. So that is working as planned, and those were the commands that right there were the commands that we wrote. Now, I'll pause here and in this part of the video, and what we'll do is we'll go in and we'll look at Cooker and we'll see what's missing. And I believe, if I recall right, we're just going to need to do these 2 steps. But then we'll actually go into those templates and we'll build out and make the whole RESTful actions on recipes so that you can, in the browser, create a recipe, edit a recipe, that kind of stuff. So I'll pause here and I'll see you, future me will see you in just a second. Future Drew here, which is now present Drew, realized that past Drew forgot the promise he made about showing you how if you just try to skip to the very last step, you're going to end up with a bit of a mess. And really the key in this was exactly the title here, which is build nested resources one level at a time. So what I mean is, if you have like this all set up, then and you know you want cook step and tip after that, and you just try to go straight to here, you're going to end up with a bit of a mess. Let me close this and let's come to VS Code. Let's close project 2, which we were working on. And good, I actually have project 1 already open. So in project, what we did, which was, it was really the prior video to this, we have under models, we just have recipe. And under routes, we have no recipe route in that case. We just made test kitchen. And we had test kitchen and the recipes, and that was as far as we went. But suppose we wanted to build exactly what we just built, the cook step and the tips. And so if we're in my project, so right now I'm in my project 2, so I am going to close all these. Okay, we'll CD out of here and back into my project, and then we'll run this. And we'll see, we already have VS Code open, but it should open up the browser, yes. So let's go here, and we have under test kitchen recipes, we have those routes, as we just saw, but what we don't have is cook step. So let's suppose that you wanted to build this out. And so what you would need to do is what we just did. You would need to come back and build this. Oh, this is great. One step at a time. Cook step first, and then tip. And you would do that just as we have here. But if you tried to do it all in one command, like this, you tried to do Flask make model test kitchen recipe cook step tip minus CRUD for all the RESTful actions that you want, and tell it that it's nested. If you do this, you're still going to end up with a 404 here. And what's going to happen is you're going to have cook step tips is what you're going to have. You're going to have that. So let me just run this. Because what it's going to do is, before I run it, let me just talk it out. You already have recipe registered, and that is the only thing that you have registered in that chain of, let's come here. You have user and recipe, but user is not part of that chain. So it's looking in that chain and it's saying, well, what's registered? Recipe. Is there anything registered? Recipe is registered. So, and you wanted nested, so it's going to take everything after recipe and make that the next model. And there it did exactly that. Cook, step, tip. And that's not what we intended. And so if you come here, you have recipe 1/cook step tips, and you have all the RESTful things for that. So if you go to the create, you'll have a route there. You do not have what we were going for, which is this. This is going to give you a 404 error. If you put tips in, that's going to give you a 404 error. So apologies. Future Drew here to save the day on this. I did want to bring that that concept home and make sure that you were fully aware of what I mean when I say go step by step. So build the structure from top down and use make controller for any namespaces, and then return back to the make model with the CRUD and the nest when you're ready to add additional children. And do it one at a time. All right. We'll see you in the next video where I'm actually going to come back to Cooker. And we may just splice all this together and put it all in one video so you can watch it all at one time.